2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hauntological Society podcast, the podcast where we talk about weird shit, aliens, Bigfoot, UFOs. Already said UFOs, aliens, ghost, Loch Ness monster. That lady you hear laughing over there, that's my sidekick, my bed mate. Say what's up, Wendy.
What's up, guys?
We got another fun episode for you. Everybody who's returned listeners, we appreciate you coming back. Keep giving us a shot because we're going to keep trying. How you feeling today, Wendy?
We might get it right sooner
Yeah.
or later.
once
Great.
once again, we're trying like a new setup to record, so we'll get this figured out. We'll get here. We'll get there. We had a pretty good weekend. Took Wendy and I went to Cherokee, and Wendy got to go to her concert. How was that, Wendy?
It was great. My mom loved Travis Tritt, and so I couldn't help but like it because I listened to it with her. It was amazing. We had great seats. Good job, honey.
Thank you.
And yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I don't buy shitty seats when I go to shows. I don't like paying that money and then just like seeing like a little speck or whatever.
Zooming in,
Yeah.
the camera, or having to watch the screen.
I want to at least be able to see the performance. So I guess today, like, we're going to talk about let's talk about some ghosts.
Ooh.
We're gonna go to Tennessee and see what Tennessee has to offer. Speaking of which, I just recently found out that Wendy actually visited Brushy Mountain Penitentiary.
I did.
Now she didn't have any paranormal experiences that I know of, but the fact that you got to go there is pretty wild. If you don't know about Brushy Mountain, you need to check it out because it's wild.
Well, it was still a working establishment at the time. It wasn't like empty and open for investigations or anything.
Yeah.
I was there to see a family friend.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that's pretty cool. It would have been really neat if you had like a nice experience to tell us about. But is what it is. You don't always catch the flies with the honey, I guess.
Yeah, especially when it's like a madhouse.
Yeah. So today we're talking about the Thomas House Hotel, which is in Red Bowling Springs, Tennessee. Ever heard of it?
No, I haven't.
All right. So the Thomas House Hotel is located in modern-day Red Bowling Springs, Tennessee, located in Macon County. The Macon County I looked at is kind of like middle Tennessee towards the north. Maybe I think borders possibly Kentucky.
Oh, well, okay.
It's not quite to like Nashville and Memphis and stuff, but it's basically like halfway between Memphis and Gatlinburg.
Oh, okay.
To the north of Tennessee. Macon County. No. Okay.
Been to Nashville.
Oh yeah, met Sebastian Bach, didn't you?
I did, and
Lucky bastard.
Jason from NSYNC.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know who he was.
Didn't know who he was?
I had no clue, but I knew Sebastian Bach. All 7 foot tall and long hair of him.
I never would have known dude from NSYNC either, but I would have sure as fuck known Sebastian Bach. The town was established in 1829 and was once known as a salt lick because of a naturally occurring salt lick that attracted animals and hunters to the area. It's said that even Daniel Boone hunted here and even carved his name into a birch tree, which is funny because we were talking about Salt Lake the other day.
Yes, we were.
Glad you agree with me there. Delayed reaction.
I'm paying attention, okay? I'm listening to the
We talked about Salt Lake the other day, didn't we?
We did. Yes, we did.
Yes, we talked about Salt Lake. Okay. But it wasn't until 1847 that the town received its name of Red Bowling Springs, and its namesake came from sulfuric bubbling springs discovered by a local farmer on his property.
We know about some sulfuric bubbling springs, don't we?
You shut your mouth. Yeah, so this farmer discovered that he had I guess there's like a natural spring popped up on his farm, red sulfur, bubbling like hot water, like a geo. What do they call geo?
Geospot, like a is it like a
Yeah,
hot spring or something?
yeah, I can't remember the geological term for it, but it's a geo something. Yeah, geothermal spring. There we go. Doo-doo-doo. I got it. It's water that's warmed by the planet. How about that for science?
And how about soaking in that bad boy with the smell of sulfur penetrating your skin?
Oh yeah. Stop talking dirty to me. Look, I lost my spot. That's right. Anyway, Bowling Springs. The Bowling Springs. What the hell?
Typo, just go
I know.
around it.
Man, I'm rereading this where I wrote this on my iPad, and I must have been like half asleep when I wrote this. Hold on. Okay. You're hearing this in real time how we break this down. So, anyway, so the farmer found this on his property, and it would eventually be sold to a couple of businessmen from New York. One particularly named James Shaughnessy, and he was looking to cash in on the growing trend of hot springs, spa, and medical treatment. So he was like an entrepreneur from New York, a well-to-do guy, and around this time period, there was a lot of like natural spas and healing spas and things popping up, and people who were suffering from different types of ailments and things. Places like this would pop up all over the country. They thought like the water would kill them, or the whatever minerals would come up would help like fix whatever ailments they had. It was a lot of different ailments. Some of them even like some of the tuberculosis hospitals. They even built these. You see, they had these huge front porches on them, and they would take the patients and sit them out because they thought the sunlight would heal them.
Right, yes.
They thought the fresh air would that help heal like the tuberculosis.
I think they were grasping at straws and just trying to try anything to heal them.
There was a lot of pretty brutal like things that they were trying to do to heal tuberculosis
Yeah,
specifically. They would like puncture the lungs. Like I said, sit them on the front porch. Put them in iron lungs. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they try to do, and really, what we know now is like all it takes is like a simple antibiotic. But at the time, like they were just like, we got to try something because people are dying left and right from this.
but it was actually like modern at the time torture devices, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a medieval or not so medieval, but early like medical devices. They do look like torture devices, but all in the name of science to get us where we are today. Anyway, so James Shaughnessy, he bought this land. He was looking for cash, growing in the trend of the hot springs and medical talents, medical treatments, I should say. And the town was trying to sell itself as a destination for anyone looking to experience and be healed by the mineral waters. But in these days, it was hard to get into. Hard to get into the town because there weren't any dedicated ways of travel to get there. So some of the pop-up mineral springs hotels and local businesses were suffering inside the Bowling Springs township. At this time, it wasn't actually called Bowling Springs. It was called something else. I'll get there. I have that written down.
Get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, so I'm jumping ahead too far. Um, but eventually, the town would get a stagecoach stop, and then a rail line would be brought into the town. So it became a little more easily accessible. It was still kind of hard to get to, and where the town is in Tennessee, this part of the state is a very like developed. Like I said, it's not like Nashville, not like Gatlinburg or like anything like that. And there not many like roadways leading up there, so anyone who lived in this area was basically like alone and by themselves. Um, yeah, so
Terrible.
this town was trying to find any way they could to like bring in money and bring in income and create business opportunities for people and help those who were suffering around the area to feel better. So they were trying, but it just didn't really work out for them. But anyway, um, after the rail line came through and the stagecoach, two hardware store owners would purchase the land that was owned by the original farmer. He had so many acres. He actually like sold uh, plotches of his land to create for people to develop it. So he still had his farm, but he sold other parts off. And then these two people who own a hardware store, They bought part of it and they created what was known as the Clyde Hotel
Okay.
in 1890. And the hotel is a 2-story white weatherboard hotel with verandas on the front. And there's another hotel in the town that looks almost exactly like it, and it's called the Donahoe Hotel. And the Donahoe Hotel is still standing today. So if you want to see what the Clyde Hotel used to look like, just look up the Donahoe Hotel. There's some pretty cool pictures of it. It's like I said, white, has porches, it's kind of like archways, and it's sort of like a spread out, sort of elongated building. Pretty interesting looking little place.
Was that so the family of the people in the hospital or the Springs could have a place to stay?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, it started out. This actually was just supposed to be just a hotel,
Okay.
and then later on, it morphed into the to the Mineral Springs healing facility or whatever.
Oh, okay. This is before.
Yeah, this is before.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and so the original hotel lasted until 1924 when the structure was destroyed by fire. It was rebuilt as a 2-story brick building with a portico. That's a porch. I had to look it up. That still stands today. And just a side note, in the 1990s, a second fire destroyed a wing of the hotel, but it was also rebuilt. So that's pretty interesting. There's 2 fires on that property, destroying whatever structure stood there. But every time they burned down, they just rebuilt it.
Maybe somebody was telling them, do not build here.
Yeah. What's crazy though is even though there's a couple fires, there's no deaths on the property that I could find.
Oh,
Yeah, and even when I was going through looking through research, I didn't see anything specifically that said people had died on this property. So I think it's kind of interesting that it ends up being a haunted location. Probably
right.
just picked up a lot of energy. Probably a lot of limestone around or something. Quartz like that picked up the energy from it. That would make sense because of the springs coming up. Probably went over like a quartz vein,
Oh, yeah.
and quartz holds a lot of energy. Um, Oddly enough, I just found this out recently. Uh, there's this parallel called the 37th parallel, and Area 51 is on this parallel. Brown Mountain is on this parallel. Some places up in New York are on this parallel. I believe Stonehenge is on the same parallel. It's like weird how all this stuff connects to the 37th parallel, and it was part of the our current continent is made from like 2 continents that slammed together, and I think it was part of the continental divide from the original from when North America was formed, and all these people or all these like places or have all this like high energy locations are all part of the same parallel.
That's crazy.
So I wonder if this is like kind of like in the same area too. It would make sense because it's kind of going right along
Yes, it would make sense.
same area. Um, yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
it's wild. And think about all the courts that's in all these areas. It's a damn up in Kentucky, Kellysburg, where they had the Kellyville, Hopkinsville goblins. That's on the same parallel. Yeah,
There might be something to there.
yeah. Um, oh yeah. So what are you doing?
Waiting
Oh,
to hear what you're going to
oh,
say.
I thought you were going to say something.
No.
That awkward silence was me expecting her to say something. You had this look on your face like you're like,
And I'm waiting on you to say something. Dead air. Dead air.
dead air, dead air, dead air, dead air, dead air. Okay, but the town had 5 different types of mineral water, each named for their color, which was produced for the mineral rocks that they came in contact with. The water's flavors ranged from mild and easily drinkable to extremely sulfuric. It was used to treat a variety of illnesses and disease. The mineral waters, uh, either from ingesting them or bathing in them, were touted as cures for diseases such as dys- dyspepsia, hydropsy, diabetes, rheumatism, neuralgia, kidney stones, gonorrhea, and various eye and skin diseases.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What, what, what a wide array of illnesses.
Can you imagine just trying to like take a bath with your gonorrhea?
Uh, I mean, I guess I'd give it a shot if I had it.
I had this outbreak around my crotch. I need to go sit in this bathtub. I have a rash. Can I go sit in this bathtub? I'm peeing blood. Here, drink this water.
Yeah.
My God. Um, so in the early 20th century, belief in the healing properties of the water began to diminish. And the original people who were pushing for these resorts were aging and dying off, and the younger generation had begun to move in the direction of up and coming medicine and science. So this is in late 1800s when this fad was like kind of big and popular. Once the 1900s hit, everybody sort of moved to science and medicine and started trying like more logical ways of like curing diseases and ailments and rashes and STDs and everything that was ailing people. So these places that were set up as like healing courts, resorts, they disappeared. So
Probably because nobody was being healed,
yeah, many people
and
just keep dying.
they won't get their money from.
Yeah, they're tired of like putting their family members in places to just watch them suffer. Uh, but the Red Bowling Springs is a fairly remote town, like we talked about before. And once a new highway system was built, tourism began to die because people could easily travel to other locations and seek out the next best thing. Also, with the development of the Great Smoky Mountains Park, no one was interested in seeking the remote towns, and the majority of tourism shifted to that part of the state. So they really, even though this, even with they were using the healing property of the hotel to bring people in, but yet it was really all about tourism. They were trying to like get that money from people coming in from out of town, from other parts of the other states. They wanted them to come there as like a tourist spot, and they even built it as resorts. And they had, like I said, there was other hotels in there, so they had all these hotels set up, just anything to bring people to this town. 'Cause I guess they felt like this town needed to grow some. But the things like the Smoky Mountain Park happened, and some of the larger cities became more developed and more easily accessible, people would rather go there because there's already stuff developed as opposed to like come to this place where there's really nothing there. A farm with some dirty water.
Right. Some egg, uh, boiled egg water.
um, but the haunting of the hotel, yeah. So that's kind of like a little bit of history. Now let's talk about a little bit of the ghost.
Do it.
The haunting of the hotel consists of uh, guest and investigators report shadow figures, disembodied voices, cold spots, and furniture moving on its own. The most haunted room is room 37 and said to have a heavier feeling than the rest of the hotel. And on many occasions, guests have left in the middle of the night. Now, people report seeing like a young girl or a young woman walking around. She's one of the spirits there. It's said that she's one of the Clyde, the wives of one of the Clyde fellows that created the first hotel. Like I said, I couldn't find that she actually died on the property, but I think in those times it probably was sort of common, so maybe they just
Right.
didn't report it. Somebody might be able to find something that I missed, but I just could not. I couldn't see. I couldn't tell that any kind of tragedy or anything happened here. Maybe, like I said, just the energy, the quartz or whatever, all the minerals that's trapping all the energy, and the spirits just kind of stuck around.
Right.
Now, so I tried to find some like accounts of people who experienced hauntings there or whatever, and I came across a couple. And now we're talking about current day Red Bowling Springs Hotel, by the way. It's no longer the Clyde Hotel.
Okay.
But a woman named Sarah booked a solo weekend at the Thomas House. That's what it's son of a bitch. It's the Thomas House Hotel in Red Bowling Springs. Yeah, damn, I'm terrible at this.
So, final answer. It's called what?
Let me get my story straight. No, for real. It's the Thomas House in Bowling Springs.
Okay, the
Red Bowling
Thomas
Springs.
House.
Yes.
Gotcha.
After it was the Clyde House first, then it became the Thomas House. I apologize. Sorry for any confusion. But a woman booked a solo weekend at the Thomas House. She was drawn in by the charm and the paranormal reputation, but she was actually seeking out the paranormal. This was more recent. A self-proclaimed skeptic, she chose room 37 because she wanted to test the hype. Now, room 37 is considered the most haunted room in there, and you can still book that room today if you go to stay there. Which, spoiler alert, you can still stay there. The first night was uneventful until around 3:13 a.m. She woke suddenly. The room was colder than when she had fallen asleep. A small lamp beside her bed was flickering, and even though it was turned off, that's when she saw her. A woman, pale and silent, sitting in the far corner of the room, dressed in an old fashioned white nightgown, her head tilted downward so Sarah couldn't see her face. Assuming it was a hallucination or sleep paralysis, which would be scary in itself, Sarah shut her eyes, but when she opened them up, the woman was standing at the foot of her bed, still silent and still staring at her. Frozen with fear, Sarah whispered, "What do you want?" The woman smiled slightly, then vanished. When Sarah finally gathered her nerve to get up and turn on the main light, she found that the Bible that had been in the nightstand opened and placed on the floor. The page, Psalm 23, the Valley of the Shadow of Death. What,
Ooh,
what the fuck?
yeah. Might be telling her she needs to go.
That's pretty crazy. She didn't stay the second night, by
Can't blame her.
the way. I think it's weird that she closed her eyes, woke up, she had moved closer, and when she talked to her, the woman just smiled and vanished. That seems like
Creepy.
that's creepy. Yeah. Oh my god. That's like some ring bullshit, but at least the ring girl, like, at least this woman disappeared. The ring girl just kind of stays around and kills you. Um, Another incident I found was this. It's years ago. A man named Jack checked in the room 37 during an off season. He wasn't a ghost hunter, just somebody. Uh, son of a bitch. And I'm off my game today. He wasn't a ghost hunter, just someone needing a peace after a divorce. But peace isn't what he found. On his second night, he started hearing breathing, a deep, labored, and right next to his bed. Thinking it was coming from the heating system, he ignored it. But when he rolled over, the breathing moved and knelt behind his head. No footsteps, no shifting weight, just the sound of a thing alive and close. He sat up quickly, no one there, but the breathing didn't stop. It just got faster, as if whatever it was had been caught in the act. Then he noticed something worse. His suitcase had been unpacked. Clothes were laid out on the bed across the dresser, which he hadn't done. Thinking he was losing it, Jack tried to leave, but the door wouldn't open, as if someone was holding it shut on the other side. When he finally pried it open, he fled downstairs and demanded a different room. So, staff later came, and no other key had access to the room. The next morning, they found deep scratches on the inside of the closet door in the room 37, long, wide, and unmistakably human, like someone had been trapped inside to claw their way out. And here's the kicker: Jack never even opened that closet.
Wow.
What do you think about
That's pretty scary. I mean,
that? Here we got two. They've had two encounters with the woman. Also, another thing that happens inside room 37 is a mirror that remembers your image. Yeah, so room 37 has an old mirror mounted on the wall near the bathroom, framed in dark wood and warped slightly with age. Most guests don't notice anything odd at first until they realize the mirror has a memory of its own. A couple once stayed in the room during a guest tour weekend, and on the second night, the woman Lisa was brushing her hair in front of the mirror when she noticed something strange. Her boyfriend Matt was sitting on the bed behind her, and in the mirror, he looked completely still. Blank expression, not blinking, just staring at her. But Lisa spun back to the mirror, and the reflection was still there. She screamed, and the reflection finally blinked slowly as if reacting to being seen. Then it stood up, turned, and walked out of frame. But again, when she turned back to look in real life, the room was empty.
where was her husband?
I don't know. They left the next morning, and the staff had later told her something unsettling. That the mirror, other guests had reported seeing people in it who weren't in the room at all. One woman even claimed she saw herself in the reflection, but smiling while she was crying.
And the woman was smiling. That okay.
Crazy. So they say like room 37's mirror doesn't just reflect; it remembers. Sometimes it shows you things from its own memory, not yours. So
Hmm.
it could bring back old memories and just reflect into the mirror. Perhaps like somebody who was sitting on that bed like 2 weeks before is now being shown to you in the reflection.
Right.
Or
That's creepy.
that's crazy. I kind of like that. You ever seen that video where the little girl's like brushing her hair and she turns around and looks at the camera, and then like when she turns around, the reflection doesn't turn with her; it just kind of sits there looking at her.
Yeah.
God, that's crazy. Talk about creepy kids. Um, there's no denying that this hotel has some bone-chilling tales, but the spookiest part for me is that people actually felt that the water could heal their ailments. The structure has been burnt and rebuilt, but the hotel lives on as do the spirits that roam these halls. And if you're daring, you can still look back at night. You can still book a night and stay in room 37. Once a month, this hotel also hosts overnight ghost hunts, an attraction advertised on the website. And you can even see this hotel featured on an episode of Ghost Hunters. But no matter what you believe when it comes to the paranormal, there's no denying the charisma and magnetic charm these old hotels possess with their interesting history and the excitement that you yourself can also stay here and possibly get a glimpse of the spectral figures that wander these halls.
Awesome.
And that is the Thomas Hotel of Red Bowling Springs, Tennessee.
So these old hotels, I think, have been imprinted um, over and over and over through the years. So, and then you add a mirror that shows you imprinted images. Um, I'm going to take a guess and say you would like to go there.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, great.
Um, something interesting in that just popped in my head. Like for instance, that one guy that was there, he was there because him and his wife just had a divorce, and so he's going through a divorce. He's trying to just have a getaway. Think about all the emotion that guy's carried with him, all the feelings,
Oh yeah,
and so when you have a hotel, any there's always a range of emotions that could be in a hotel any given time, from happy to sad to scared to frightened to excited to whatever. So it's just a culmination of all these different feelings in and out of there constantly. And a lot of these feelings have got to be like pretty intense, so that they have to like stick around. So it's no wonder that so many hotels like hold on to these impressions, and that have a lasting effect in the future when people go back and revisit and experience these hauntings. And who knows? Like you never know like what you're going to find.
well, and I think it's interesting that the lady who um, saw the older figure in her room
Yeah,
that just smiled at her.
yeah,
But then the guy came who was going through a divorce, and I would imagine was pretty sad and, maybe a little depressed.
yeah,
And then his experience is more chilling
yeah,
than just somebody looking at you smiling.
yeah.
So that's odd.
I I wonder like you know with the seeing like the figure of the older lady in the older clothes or whatever makes me wonder. Back in the day, it was real common for people to be buried on the property. I wonder if she's buried on that personal property because that was like somebody's land. That was like a farmland. There was a family that was there, and then these two you know people who own like stores or whatever came and bought it, and then I wonder if like his wife died and maybe she's buried on the property, so maybe that's why she's around.
And it's very likely. And, a lot of times, uh, way back in the day, maybe they didn't have a headstone,
Hmm.
but they propped a rock or something to mark um, where they were buried, and say over time this gets moved, and then things get built on top of the
Yeah.
burial plot, and unknowingly that you know that's what it is, and so that creates like maybe unrest for these people who are now being you know billed over.
And that's a town that was begging for people to come there, people to bring money. So it's probably likely that a lot of people in that town weren't very rich. So maybe they didn't have money for headstone. Maybe they were struggling. Who knows? It'd be interesting to see. I wish I knew if like there were actually deaths on the property. I just could not find anything. And even though I found like some stuff about the haunting and the hotel and stuff, like there's not a whole lot of history on this place. So I did the best I could to dig up what was there. Uh, I'm sure there's more out there somewhere, but maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spot. But there was that right there was like pulling teeth just to get that.
Maybe a historian who knows the town a lot better.
Oh, I'm sure there's someone who lives in that area that knows it. Especially if this place has a reputation to be a haunted, they probably have like a probably got a well-known reputation around there. So somebody knows the deep history of that place. I'd like that. I'd like to hear the history of the Clyde family and the Thomases, how it became the Thomas house eventually.
Book a stay.
Book a stay. Room 37 can be yours for the low price of whatever they're charging.
Yeah.
Like I said, by the way, if you go to their website, you can actually book an overnight paranormal investigation, and they call it a lights out paranormal investigation with seasoned investigators. And the investigators, I imagine, bring their own equipment, and you just get to walk around the hotel in the complete darkness looking for ghosts.
These are probably local investigators.
Oh, the same stuff.
Okay. I mean, we're not going to be up there with like Jack Bagans or,
Come at me, ghost.
Yeah. I'm feeling it.
You don't have the power to possess me, ghost. Come on, bro.
All of a sudden get mad at you.
Yeah.
Threaten to kill you.
Get away from me. Zach.
Gotta love him.
I have feelings about him. All right. Well, I don't know if this is a short episode or not, but it feels like it went by pretty fast. But anyway,
maybe we're just having more fun.
I know. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you got any comments, don't forget to rate and review us. All that stuff can be done on your favorite podcasting platform, wherever you're listening. Just make sure you give us a 5-star review because it helps us get more listeners. We need them right now. So we appreciate you taking the time to check us out. Don't forget we have an email, the Hauntological Society podcast at gmail.com. Please send us your emails. We need more of those. We got a YouTube page, same name, Hauntological Society. We're going to be adding more videos, and hopefully eventually we get the live streaming. And down the road, we're going to do we got some fun stuff coming, so just hang around.
Yay.
But with that being said, I'm Eric.
I'm Wendy.
We're out.